Hi everyone, Jock from Mobble here. Firstly, it's great to be able to join you all remotely in Glenmorgan, and a massive thanks to Southern Queensland Landscapes for having us. So I'm the founder of Mobble, and as Amy's probably talked about, the company was founded on my parents' family farm down here in Victoria. So I'm going to give you a quick demo of the Mobble product. If you have any questions, feel free to ask Amy at the end, and yeah, we'll get into it. So Mobble is two apps. There's a Mobble web app on the computer, and this is mainly for looking at your reports and exporting information, printing off information, as well as setting up your maps and stuff like that. And then there's also the Mobble mobile app, which is used day to day out in the paddock. And because you'll be using the Mobble mobile app the most, I'm going to get started with that. So I'll just share, just give me a moment, I'll just share my screen on my mobile phone. All right. So firstly, the mobile app, this is what you'll be using out in the paddock, out in the yards. And it works online or offline. So no matter where you are, it should work with the most recent information when you're back online. You can add all your staff and all family members to it. And that's one of the beauties of Mobble. Everything is there in one place, and it's easy to communicate that information with everyone else on the farm. If we go into the product, there are sort of three main views. There's the paddock view, which is this one, a giant list of paddocks. The mobs view, get every single livestock in the place in there. And the map view, which is probably the most used view out of them all, which is your whole property via the map. Now, diving into it, there's a heaps of stuff you can record in Mobble, and most of it's recording information on paddocks and mobs. So if I click on this paddock here, I'll get a bunch of information on that paddock, what's in there, how many head, how many days grazed that paddock's been, how heavily stocked that paddock is, and the average stocking rate of that paddock. If I click on that paddock one more time, I get a few options. I can obviously view the mobs in that paddock. I can move or split that mob into different paddocks, or merge it with different mob, or whatever it is. Obviously, a bunch of information on that paddock. Add a paddock action. So this is anything like spray records, fertilize records. It could be something like maybe even a record of dry matter in the paddock as well. So that's what a paddock action is. You can sort of think it as like a paddock history record. Add task to a paddock, fence over a tree over the fence or something like that. And obviously you can view the map, and you can also open gates between other paddocks so the stock can flow between them. So from here, if I go to view mobs, I'll be able to see what's in this paddock. A few sheep and a few heifers. So for context, this is my my parents' family farm down in near Avenel, Victoria, so north central Victoria. We're mainly a sheep and cattle operation. Well, less cattle now, mainly sheep, so merino ewes and first cross lambs and that sort of thing. That's just for a bit of context. So the mobs in this paddock, I can have a quick look. So I can see merino ewes here, different ages, different classes, first and singles. That means they've been scanned in lamb as singles, and they're our top line of ewes. If I click on this ewe mob here, I get a bunch of different options as well. So once again, you can move the mob, you can edit the mob, you can add a mob action. Now the mob action is pretty much anything that's to do with maybe compliance, like drench records and stuff like that, vaccination records. It can also be a mob action can also be a feed record and stuff like that too. So once again, it's one of those things that's like think of it as the history against that mob. And we have summaries on all these different records as well. Yeah, across the whole property. You can record casualties, and you can obviously record sales as well when that mob goes off to market. As well, when you're adding in mobs, you can also do a bunch of records as well, a natural increase. So we're adding in some new calves, or a purchase, you've purchased a new bull or whatever it is. So you can record all the information and all the costs associated with that as well. So I'm still in the paddock here, which is mine paddock. Get the information over here, the mobs here, tasks on this paddock. And this is the full-blown history of everything that's ever happened in this paddock. All the mobs moved in and out, any paddock actions there. You can filter that down to what you want to see, search whatever you what you want there, which is cool. So it's that complete paddock history forever. And we'd have about 5 years of information here now. And same with the mob. So if I click on a mob, I can go into the mob and view information. And there's about a bunch of key information there, but I also get this full-blown history. So everything that's ever happened on this mob or composite of mobs, if mobs are merged into it, so does the history. So this is literally everything that's ever happened on, or could have happened to this mob here as well. Here's for example, a drench action applied to these ewes back on that date. And yeah, you can see the product that was used and stuff like that, and the withholding periods as well. So it's worth noting that when you record a drench or a treatment on a mob, we're recording all the information on that mob, as well as withholding periods. And if a mob is in a withholding period, it'll show up in a little red dot on the map as well. We don't have any livestock in a withholding period at the moment, so it won't be showing. And also if you spray a paddock as well, and it's in a withholding period, a grazing withholding period, it'll highlight in red and it'll warn you not to put livestock in that paddock. So that's some of the cool things there. Other things, there's a cool 3D view, and it's also things like measuring tools. So if you're out in the paddock, you can measure out the distance of a new fence line or pipeline or whatever it is. You can also see your location on the property as well. And yeah, which is handy if you're out no service and mustering. It'll even work when you're mustering with no service, and you'll be able to see if you've got a new employee and you don't want them to get lost out in the paddock and stuff like that. Now, a few other things. You can get quick summaries. So if I go back to the mobs view, I can get quick summaries and filter down, some core information. So maybe I just want to see all the first cross ewes that were scanned as twins. And here we go. So we got 550 head that was scanned in twin, which is great. You can probably ignore those years. I don't think parents have been updating those very well. And yeah, there are all these different paddock spurnids and crop and stuff like that. So you can get a quick summary of little bits of information like that, which is really, really quick and handy. Talking about the history of a property, you also get this giant activity log, which is similar to those history pages you saw before. This is on the entire property, and you can filter that down to see whatever you like or search different events that happened throughout the past. Now, if we move to the menu, so it's not just paddocks, mobs, and maps. There's a bunch of other stuff. So tasks and reminders. So you can set a task and a reminder for yourself. It could be something, to take the bulls out at a certain time, or whatever it is, and everyone will get a notification when that task is due, or the people that have been assigned that task will get a notification when that's due, or completed as well. There's also a property chat there, so you can use like a WhatsApp group kind of and chat to everyone on the farm. This is inventory, so everything compliance related. So when you're talking about LPA compliance and stuff like that, we have an inventory for animal health and all your herbicides, pesticides, and fertilizers, which you need to record for compliance. So you can see these in here, and you can attach these products to those mob actions as well. So you attach them as onto the animal health records as well. And we have summaries of all those animal health records, once again, for compliance, which is, super handy for that sort of thing. Another thing, so we have rainfall as well. So recording all the rainfall on a property across the years. You can have multiple rain gauges. They just have one at home, and we're having we had a pretty good start to the season, and then sort of had a really dry May, which is sort of see a bit of rain now, and we'll be pretty good at home. What else? Offline stuff, summaries. So we go into summaries. There's a heap of different summaries on all the information you're recording within the app, sales, purchases, stuff like that. So you can have a quick look of the your last financial year, your last year's sales, and you can get a quick summary of that stuff really, really easily, and get average prices per head and different things like that. All very accessible. And yeah, I think one of the cool things about Mobble, it's really easy and simple to use. So yeah, like people of all ages can use it really easily. If my old man can use it, anyone can. Livestock number breakdown. This is pretty great. You can break it down into different classes. So I can quickly see here, I've got first cross use, I've got 675 unclassed, but the ones that are classed, 550 twins, 194 singles, and some lates as well, which is pretty handy information. And I'll show you a bit more. There's some better reports and stuff on the web app, and I'll show you that in a second as well. And that's basically it on the mobile app. There's a bunch of other stuff there, but we don't need to go into it today. That's a pretty good first look. Anyone into the sort of grazing records, there's heaps of stuff in that there too. So what I'll do now, I'll stop sharing my screen here on the phone, and I'll switch it to the computer and quickly show the web app, because yeah, this is more of a thing that you'll be using maybe the end of the month, or every now and then we want to get some more information out of the app, or you want to export the information into spreadsheets and do your own analysis or whatever it is. So I'll just share my screen. Just give me one moment. We'll choose the right screen to share. All right, so hopefully you can see that. So this is once again the same property on the web application. Very similar information here. You've got this history here. A couple of core differences is we track these livestock numbers over time every single day. So we're snapshotting the data every single day. And you can get these livestock totals and stocking rate totals as well, and how they're tracking or how they're changing over the years or over the time, and see how your property is performing. You can also get this on a paddock level. So if we go down to a paddocks, and hopefully I'll choose a paddock with a good example. So if we go into Bernard's paddock here, get a heap of information, all the mobs in there, and you'll also get this livestock graph, which is not loading at the moment. Give it a second. And you also get, this is a place where you can export things like paddock actions or your sprays and stuff like that as well. And yeah, there's the livestock historic graph. You can sort of see here that this paddock's been rested at different stages, and then had livestock in it at different stages as well. DSC per hectare. Some of you will use LSU. We use DSC down at home. It's your stocking rate. So it's a stocking rate per hectare. And this interesting line here, average DSC per hectare last 12 months, is a rolling average, which kind of gives you a paddock performance number. So this number is going up and down as we go, and we're staying pretty steady around 4.65 DSC per hectare. So that's sort of like how the paddock's performing at the moment. You can compare it to previous years as well. So we're probably going to be better than last year in our, average DSC per hectare we're holding on that paddock. Yeah, had a pretty good, lots of grass over summer, probably helped with that. So yeah, moving on, other differences here. There's not too many other differences. You can export all your sales data or purchases, natural increases, and stuff like that. The one other big one here is the report you get. You get a full-on livestock reconciliation report here, and you can change the interval of when this report is recorded. So we'll go with last 12 months. Yeah, you can see that giant line there of how livestock being natural increase and livestock being sold, stuff like that. And this is the breakdown of those numbers here as well. And yeah, it's starting head and closing head, and you can see the natural increase numbers there, and head sold, casualties, etc. Yeah, which is a good breakdown. And you need this information anyway for the end of financial year for the accountant as well. And yeah, you can get a breakdown even further of those numbers or what they are. And a sales report at the bottom as well, and a breakdown of that. And that's in a nutshell, that's more or less Mobble. Obviously, there's maps here on the computer as well. And this is actually one last thing here. This is where you'll go and map out your property for the first time. So you'll dive in here and you'll start mapping the boundaries. And it's really simple. You just hit this big button, add a paddock, and you just hit the strata posts around the edge of the paddock and double click the finish and put paddock name in, and bang, you're done. That's your first paddock, and it shouldn't take too long. But I mean, the biggest thing with getting started is just that initial data input, putting in those paddocks, putting in those mobs. Once they're both in, it's quite simple and easy to use. So just that first hurdle, and then it's really, really easy. So that's Mobble. So yeah, thanks so much for having me, and you're in good hands with Amy. And if there is any other questions you want to talk to us, me directly, contact us via email, and we'll go from there. So yeah, any feedback as well. So we build our product off farmer feedback. So if you have any feedback at all, let us know. Thanks for having me. Bye.